The divine source of the universe guides my life and all my finances. All is well, all is well. The divine source of the universe guides my life and all my resources. All is well, all is well. The divine. Greetings, everyone. Greetings. This is Shemsu-t, and this is Patiently Waiting for Nothing podcast, episode number 11. And this is actually Thursday, May 28, 2020. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us, to even just take time out of your day to be still for a moment. Our intention is to bless you with some type of peace. I mean, I know that we have to find it. Every single one of us have to find it. So it is our intention that in this conversation, we find it together, you know. And we've been talking about patiently waiting for nothing through all of these life changes that we're experiencing. Our first episode was about fear, and that was just as we were going into a quarantine. The next episode was about aloneness. And then the next one was about meditation. It is so amazing that this little book can guide us into a state of taking care of our spirit at a time that we didn't even know we needed it. And we do. We do. With everything going on, I want you to know that you must ground yourself in your spirit. You must protect your soul at all cost. Step away from things. Step away from life for a minute. So you joining us tonight is giving you the opportunity to do that. And we have a wonderful conversation with one of the youngest certified Master Force coaches that we have on deck. And it's just, you know, we know there's no such thing as coincidences. And here we are talking to a young man with the energy of the United States being in total turmoil against our brother kings. And this too shall pass. But tonight we're going to talk about discrimination and life choices with the wonderful Marshawn Frencha. Marshawn, are you there?
I am here.
Yay, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you. I am very excited to be a part of this conversation tonight.
I'm excited for you to be here. And if you don't mind, I just want to breathe with you for just a few minutes, just because I can't even imagine what you could be feeling right now. But if we could just breathe together, and I'll just direct us through some breaths so we can synchronize our energy, and maybe our audience will breathe with us. But do you mind?
Yes, I'm here for that.
Okay, cool. So if you could just sit straight up in your chair or your, and then feet flat on the floor. You put your hands on your thighs. And then we're going to actually breathe in and out through our nose. So just exhale all of the air from your lungs. Exhale through your nose. Exhale. Then breathe in. Belly breathe deeply into your belly. Focusing all of that air into your navel. And then just hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale through your nose. Slowly releasing. Pushing in, squeezing, hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. Into the belly through your nose and hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. Push in. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in through your nose. Okay, very good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then just breathe in. Yeah, just relax and let go. It's that time of life, you know.
Yeah.
We have to breathe together. We have to be present to ourselves, get into our bodies, right?
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
Why don't you let the audience get to know you a little bit? Tell us about yourself. Tell us about, your life journey a little bit. And then how in the world did you decide to take a life coaching class at such a young age? But start with your life journey first. Tell us
life journey. Gotcha. Like she said, my name is Marshawn, and I am from Chicago. Grew up on the South Side, and I graduated from Kenwood Academy, and since I was little, I've always my parents had always encouraged me to do what makes me happy, not necessarily do what all my peers were doing. So while everyone was like playing football, doing sports, doing something, I was teaching myself how to be an artist. So I was sketching from a really early age. That led me into doing dancing at a really early age. And yeah, my whole life has been sitting on the arts and really connecting to people, but also really getting to express my talents and help people through that with the creativity that I do have. And yeah, it's been many ups and downs, but I am grateful for where I am today. And what made me want to become a life coach, because when I was in high school, I remember I had met so many women who wanted to become doulas, and I was like, well, how can I be a doula? And then that's when I found out that that's mainly a profession for women. And my mom she's always been the one to give me great advice, lead me on my journey to who I am. She's always done things to provoke me to think differently, give me a different possibility. And so when I went to her certification ceremony, and before that, when I would just listen in on some of the things that she was learning and stuff like that, I was like, I really would like to learn that and apply those principles to my life and find another way to be of service. Because before I got my certification, I was a project coordinator with a group of young people putting together a hip hop festival in the Pilsen area. So we would all get together. This is all led by young people my age. We were all going out, finding artists, reaching out to break dancers, stuff like that. And while also we would have our own little circle where we would all come together and really tell our stories so that we all would connect with each other so that we could put this festival together and really make it a family-centered oriented type of situation.
That sounds great.
Yeah, so I did that, and so then that's when I told my mom, I would like to get my certification. And then that's when she had me reach out to you, and from there on, I have really dedicated myself to learning, being open to changing some of the things that I think about. I feel like a lot of times when we're young, at least for me, we have this mindset like we hear something or we learn something and we're so set and we're not really open minded to the different possibilities that there are to come at peace with your life, but also fulfill your life journey. Yeah. So,
wow,
I did that, and from there on, yeah, that was how I was brought into the Master Force, and then I had a great coach, mentor, Kiana.
Hey, Kiana, we love Kiana.
Yes, we love Kiana. But she was a great mentor. Then I had the person that was going through the certification with me, Austin, and
your buddy, right,
mm-hmm.
yes. Because Austin also, he was young, but he was older than you. Because how old were you?
Was.
Yeah, how old
I was 16 going on 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think he was already in his 20s.
20s, yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, that was kind of how I got into that. And then from there, when I did go back to planning the festival, it was all about, for me, taking those principles and using that with young people around me and really opening them up to other ideas about how to go through situations, how to deal with life, letting them know that they don't have to feel alone, and that they will reach the other side. They will reach that peace to continue on their journey.
Wow, that is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you. Just, I love you, but I mean, just listening to the impact that you take on having with other young people, I mean, that is really, selfless of you, because most young people just think about themselves completely, I mean, and here you are taking what you've learned and then making sure that you share that with others.
Yes, and I'm so grateful that I've been introduced to so many elders, ancestors,
yes,
people of knowledge who have really opened my eyes to be able to. From a young age, from my father. My father is a part of a male mentorship organization called Barbershop Rap. And from a young age, it was instilled in me to be of service to my community, to teach the next up and coming generation, to help mentor them into going forward in their future.
Yeah.
So I am forever grateful to have those experiences.
That is so wonderful. And then, so right now we're in lockdown, or quarantine, or whatever they call it. And do you work now, or are you on furlough? How has your life been disrupted in this thing going on with the quarantine?
So I was working up until the March 19th, and that's when they told us that we were going to, at first it started off as, okay, we're not going to be working for 2 weeks, but you'll still get paid. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then that's when after those 2 weeks were up, that's when they told us, we're going to furlough you all. We're going to furlough you all until this quarantine coronavirus COVID-19 situation gets settled. And at first I was in a state of panic. Just because I really didn't know what to expect. I was at panic, but I also was at peace with the situation, because after a few days, after the first week, I was grateful because it gave me the opportunity to do things at home that I had been wanting to be doing. So I started cleaning. I started cleaning. I started I started doing yoga every day, and yeah, I was glad that I was able to tend to the things. I was able to read a book,
Right.
and like it was just normal day things that I normally wanted to get to before quarantine. I just hadn't been able to get to it, or I was only able to take a small portion of time to it. So now I was able to get to it. And then as far as money wise, I was in panic because I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of money at the time before quarantine, but I had to delve back in, and I always want to be in the mindset that it's never that I don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
I have plenty of it. I have the fullest supply of it. And that's just the mindset that I had to get into. Like I wanted to be in that mindset that I'm never without money. Money is always at my supply. Mm-hmm. And then I also started to, whatever little money I did have, I was taking that, putting it on my altar.
You have an altar? Oh my God.
Yes,
yes.
I was taking that money. I was taking at least $20 to $40, putting that on my altar, and then literally, ever since I started doing that, I've never, as far as like a money situation during this time, I've never had a doubt that money was never going to be with me.
Yeah, so you felt taken care of. You knew that the flow would continue some kind of way.
Yes, I knew it. I knew that it was going to. There's something bigger than me, and whatever is bigger than me, it's going to continue to work towards my best effort.
Yeah. So I want to, address what's going on right now in our community. And, you tell me if it's too touchy, but I want to talk about the George Floyd situation. Yeah. Are you aware of all of that and what's going on?
Yeah, I am very aware. I've been, at this time, because I feel like it started out and then it did like a nickel dime effect and it's just blown up everywhere. So I really try not to look at social media too much. At least the social medias where everyone, like Twitter and Instagram, where you can see everything. It's like popping up at you all at once. I really don't try to look at those. I try to look at those every few often. But yeah, I'm very aware of what is going on.
Now, in addressing that for yourself, how do you contain your spirit in a time like that? When give us an idea, because there's some young people who don't have the spiritual stamina that you have cultivated.
Yeah.
And what would you say to them to help them to ground themselves right now?
I've been doing a lot of breathing.
Yeah, right.
I've been starting with a lot of breathing. I have worked towards not really going into a place of anger. Mm-hmm. And just really, what I would encourage people to do is really, instead of putting out how you feel into the world on your social media platforms, I would say just start by getting a journal, because that's literally whatever I'm feeling. I've been journaling it and sitting with it, processing it, and then I've been thinking of ways of how we can go about moving forward in a peaceful way.
Yeah. And as a creative, I mean, you could write poems, you could write stories, you could write music, you could write.
I've been thinking of artwork that I could do.
Artwork, yeah.
And that's another thing. You have to find you have to find what source is good for you to put your energy towards. I remember when I had a bit of depression, and I remember one of the best ways that I went about dealing with that is really creating artwork, and I felt that was the most creative I have been, because normally I was taking things that I saw and translating it onto canvas, and
Wow.
now that time really gave me the energy to really go in my mind and put what was in my mind and put it on canvas and really go about expressing myself.
And then how do you keep yourself feeling safe during times like this?
How I stay safe, I do my breathing, I do my meditation, I do my yoga, go about doing affirmations for peace and healing towards the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
Just really first connecting into myself, knowing that everything is going to be okay. Because I feel like people are in a sense of panic, they're in a sense of fear. People are really fed up with what's going on, and you really have to just sit back and ground yourself. So that's what I do. I try to really be by myself, ground myself. Really connect within myself, journaling how I feel, doing a lot of breathing for peace,
Right.
And stuff like that. That's how I've been cooking.
Yeah, right?
Cooking a nice
yes.
meal. Cooking a nice meal. I think that's another way of how I keep peace. I keep peace with what I know I can control. And yeah, that's literally how I've been keeping peace. I think my favorite meal while this whole period has been going on is like sauteed kale and tofu sausage and tomatoes and mushroom. Yeah.
So you eat meatless most of the time?
I eat meatless if I do eat meat, it has to be a chicken breast or some form of salmon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really eat too many pork or nothing like that.
Okay.
But yeah, if I do happen to eat meat, it has to be a fish or a chicken. It can't be anything pork. It can't be anything pork related.
Okay.
But the last few weeks I've been eating meatless. I've been doing boca and the apple. It's an Applewood smoked vegan sausage that they sell at the grocery store.
I'm gonna send you some of my sausage recipes, because you can make these delicious sausages out of oatmeal. So I'm gonna make a
that's
note.
Perfect. I have a big container. That's another thing I like to eat. Oatmeal. Before it, I feel like it's all about how you make it.
Yes.
So I like to put peanut butter and some honey in mine, and then after I do that, and some coconut oil, and after I do that, I'm set to eat it. So
this oatmeal sausage will replace the stuff that you buy at the store, and I promise you, it is so tasty.
Okay, perfect. So I love a good recipe.
Yes.
I've been using my crock pot too. I love my crock pot. It's amazing.
Very cool. So now the section we're talking about from the book Tonight is about discrimination.
Yes.
So you've read the book, right? So what did you think of the book? Did it make a difference for you at all?
It did. When I was thinking, I feel like the book for me was it's very eye-opening, and it does give me a sense of peace. And there's a strength in learning affirmations. And there is a strength in not really taking yourself as not being victimized by whatever your circumstances may be. Because I feel like before I got my certification, it was a lot of victimization. Like, oh, why is this happening to me? yada yada yada, etc. And the book has really helped me in taking accountability for what I put into the world. How am I treating myself? And I read that along with The Acts of Faith by Iyanla Van Zant.
Yes, we love Iyanla too.
Yes, and yeah, it really gives me an opportunity to really delve in. Mm-hmm. I like to, and like I was telling you, I like to print out. If I don't have the physical copy, I like to print them out so I can, go in, highlight, and whatever I highlight, I'm taking it, I'm putting it in my journal, and really internalizing it to go about moving forward into the world. And then a lot of the affirmations too, when I'm doing my yoga or my meditation, I'm saying those while I do it too, so I can apply it to my life. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoyed the read. I love the story that you get in the beginning and the end of it. Yes. And it's very, I really connected to this book, so I'm very glad.
Now I ask everybody this: could you see yourself more in Bobby or Miss Helen?
I would say before quarantine, I could see myself as Bobby, because I feel like Bobby worked a corporate job, and I felt like she was doing something that she liked, but she didn't enjoy. And she was doing what she needed to survive in the world. Mm-hmm. And I always think about there's a lesson in everything, and like everyone that we meet or encounter, they're there to teach us lessons, open up our mind to different possibilities, really helping us to manifest what we want to do in the world. Yes. And I think Bobby, and that's why I say I'm grateful. I can connect to Bobby because there have been many people that I've met along my journey, and they have really, I have to sit down and think, like, what is their purpose in my life? And I feel like now when I meet people, it's easy for me to understand what they're trying to, it's easy for me to understand what they're trying to teach me. And now that I know what they're trying to teach me, going about acting on that. And then I can relate to Miss Helen too, because I feel like sometimes for me, you want to give to the world, and you just want to share your vision. And I feel like Bobby was that catalyst to help Miss Helen. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She was that catalyst to help Miss Helen really share her vision, share her knowledge with the world, and to reach more people before she met Bobby.
Yeah, I forget about that part. Thank you. Yes, that is right. Oh, how cool is that? So now let me ask you, has there been any time in your life where you felt like someone discriminated against you?
Yes, I feel like growing up in, because I went to predominantly Black schools. If I did programs, they were predominantly Black, and I've always been the weird oddball out, and I was always okay with that. Sometimes I did feel alone. I can remember going to church camp, and there was a girl I'll never forget. She had traumatized me in third grade, because I remember we were playing a game, and I struggled with eczema, and so she was like, "Oh no, I'm not gonna touch you. You're not playing this game." And she like singled me out, and I went and sat for the rest of the game. I went and sat and cried, because I just was so taken aback by it. Someone could really make me, feel less than. But not just that. It's growing up when you're a black male and you're a gay bisexual male, really trying to figure out yourself. I feel like a lot of the times, you're kind of like always singled out for being this way, and it's like at that time you really don't know what you are, but you know you have these feelings, and you know how you feel, and so it's kind of like pushing you inside to like not really be who you truly want to be. And so yeah, I definitely grew up being discriminated against because one I was black, and then two, I was a black gay male, so people really like honed in on that and tried to make me feel um less than who I am and who I know I am. And so I've been I really had to understand that it's okay for me to be who I am.
Yes.
And there's so much power in who I am.
Yes.
And it really now has put me in this mindset to not really care what people think. And I have compassion. I have compassion when looking back on it now. I have compassion for those people. And I always say that before you prejudge someone, you should know their story.
Yeah.
You should know their story as to why they are the way they are. And so now I have compassion for those people because I don't know their story and I don't know what they went through. But I'm thankful for it because it helped me to get to where I am today. Yeah. And I want to thank my mother too, because my mother she really made me. She also helped in my journey of like, you are okay who you are. You are still. I knew once I heard the words of my mother and I heard my intuition say, Marshawn, it is. You are fine in who you are, and you are powerful. You are great, and none of this is going to stop you. None of this is going to be in your way. You will do great being who you are and living in your truth.
Wow. That is really powerful and bold of you to, at such a young age, even just to even articulate what you're saying right now is just amazing, right? But then, you were discriminated against, black men, gay, bisexual, eczema. You know what I'm saying? Like, leave me.
Especially the eczema. Because I always tried to hide it.
Yeah.
People will nitpick you about it. They'd be like, "Oh, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? Why is it?" And you really don't want to, don't want to talk about the question,
right?
But now that I accept that that's a part of me, that's who I am. I really don't get it. I feel comfortable in I feel comfortable in my skin and how I portray myself to the world and stuff like that. So yeah.
Wow, that is really something. I think that you keep mentioning your mother, and your mother and I are good friends. And Adina, she's so dear to me, and your whole family is actually. You're just like family, and it's just something that all of us are so far apart, right? I mean, we used to hang out a little bit.
Yeah.
But the way that you express that love for her is so moving, and I know that your dad has always been involved in your life. So
he is. Mm-hmm. I give thanks to him too, because he really sacrificed. He really sacrificed a lot for us. And I remember growing up, me and my sister, we would get so upset because we didn't have we didn't get everything that we wanted all the time. But it was those experiences and what he exposed us to. Now that I look back on it, I'm like, wow, I'm really grateful to have my father in my life. I don't know what I would be without my parents, but I'm really thankful for the people that they have introduced me to, the things that they have instilled in me, to be the person that I am. So yeah. I attribute a lot of that, and I attribute that to you too, because you are like a mother figure. To me. That's why I call you my mama Moot.
Yeah. Mama.
Yeah. You're like a mother figure to me. And I remember when my mom was going through her certification, and I saw your picture. I'm like, oh my God, she is really beautiful, and I was like, I want to meet her.
Wow.
She was like, and so I'm thankful for all of you.
Yes, that is so incredible. So now, let me ask you, the conversation we're having is about discrimination, but how then does that discrimination affect your life choices? Now, I did hear you had to grapple with, the whole conversation around being gay and bisexual, but there was a time when you may not have known how to do that. Right? Like you hid yourself, right? Or you
And when things came up, I would make excuses for how they came up. Because it just wasn't a part of myself that I really wasn't ready to accept. I remember a guy that I was talking to. He had called the house phone, and he was asking for me, and I kind of like made up an excuse about it as to why I couldn't answer the phone. And even when in high school, when the conversation got brought up, I just kind of like would stay silent about it, because I really didn't want people to. I really didn't want people to know that about myself, and I also didn't want people that I grew to know, people that I grew to know, people that I grew to love. I didn't want them to treat me differently.
Yes.
Because of
your life choices,
my life. Yeah. And so I went through. It was a personal battle for me, grappling with, and then also I feel like growing up. As a male, you kind of like are forced to, at least by the not necessarily the adults, but like media, male adults. It's kind of like they force you to want to be a certain way, not necessarily living to the truth of who you are. And so I for a long time I grappled with, how can I be who I am, but also appease these people and not have them treat me differently for what my lifestyle is.
Wow. And so when you did decide to share with people, or you made a decision, like, I'm going to be who I am, right? That was a choice you made. Yeah.
Yep.
And when you did that and you had to communicate that was probably very fearful.
It was. I did it in small stages. I started with my immediate family, so my mom, my dad, my sister, and then I started with stages. Like I said, I started with stages, and then it trickled down to my friends, and then it trickled down to now. I don't even have to tell anybody. If it comes up, I'm not afraid to talk about the situation. But now I guess I wear it on my sleeve. It's a part of my identity, and now it's something that I'm not afraid. It's something that I'm not afraid of. Now I can wear it. I wear it proudly.
Yeah, it's part of your self-expression. It's like, this is who I am. Mm-hmm.
And also, I feel like me accepting myself has also really helped me to get rid of the prejudices that I have. Because even within this community, a lot of people can have prejudices against other types of people. I know for growing up as a child, especially with trans men and women, I always saw that as something not normal. And I felt like growing up, I was always taught that it's not okay to be that part of your truth, if that is your truth. And so for a long time, I went a minute like thinking that it's something wrong with that. And then really accepting myself, and also really, delving into my truth and really connecting to people. And there's so much power in connecting to your power and your truth that you want to understand. For me, it's always been about understanding, connecting my life to other people and understanding them where they are. Because I know that not everybody is on the same journey as me.
Yeah.
And so now, I have so much empathy for everyone, and I have so much. I can connect to everyone, and I love that no matter who you are, what you are, you can still connect to people. There are still bridges there are still things that bridge the gap that is between us. Because I feel like we all try to say how we're so different, but there are so many things, no matter who you are, that bring us together, that connect us as one, and it heals your soul. When you're connecting as well.
Yeah.
And connecting within yourself.
That is so true. It does heal your soul. I mean, it's similar to what we were talking about with racism last week with Teresa Logo. And we were saying, here's one aspect. I'm going to judge you by your skin color and miss all of those other amazing things about you. Like, I will never even get to know them, because in the moment that I see you, I'm going to treat you based on how I think a group of people act and should be treated. And that's the same thing you're talking about when people judge you based on your life choices. I'm gay, I'm bisexual. Well, how in the heck do I need to know that when I first see you, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just getting to know other things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that shouldn't. And I feel like for the longest, when I did a lot of prejudging. I was like, oh my God, like. What can I think of at that moment to really not like them or or something of that sort? And now it's just like, okay, now I'm like, okay, who is this person?
Yeah.
How am I connected to this person? I remember last year I had a coworker. And I met her. We were cool. And I was like, okay, because I feel like when we do the prejudgment, when we discriminate, it's like a ringer that goes off in your head telling you like, this is what you need to do. And it's lovely now that I can meet people, and before I even before I even try to make out what I think their story is, let me actually sit and get to know them and ask them what is their story. How do we connect on a level of friendship and kinship?
Yeah. And so you were able to do this with your friend, with
my coworker, and she ended up telling me her life story. Mm-hmm. She ended up telling me she told me a secret that she wasn't trying to tell other people regarding her identity as a trans woman. And I was happy in the fact that I didn't even need to know that about her for me to connect to her on a level.
Wow. Yeah. You know, that is really so cool, because if you actually know or consider that you don't meet people by chance, right? Like, they show up in your space. And if you really honor that spirit brought them there, the thing to do is to discover who they are.
Yes, and I love that, and I live by that every day. That people, like you said, we don't meet people by coincidences, and there are everyone that is coming into your life. They are coming in there to teach you a lesson. They're helping you to discover something about yourself. They may be helping. They may, like I said about Miss Helen, they may be there to be the catalyst to evoke change in your life. And I live by that. Every person I meet, I am working to discover their purpose in my life, and that helps me continue to live my life in purpose. Because I know that people that I meet, no matter who I meet, I'm going to take something away from them, and they're going to take something away from me. I feel like it continues that law of reciprocity.
Yeah, that's such an expanded view. What are you, 20 now?
I'm 22.
22? Oh my God, 22. I mean, but that's such an expanded viewpoint. I mean, geez, you know, right. I mean, you're learning something rapidly every day if you're taking that on, because every time you meet someone, there's something that you're gaining.
Yes. And whatever I learn from them, it helps me to and that's the other thing I like, is that people open me up to so many different possibilities and different ways to think about everyday life. Because I may have thought about it a certain way, but then I listened to someone else give their idea, and I'm like, okay, maybe now I didn't see it that way at first. Now I understand, and now I can apply that to my life and pass that on to someone else.
Yes. That is so cool. So I know we're getting towards the hour. Oh my God, but I want to. What I want to point out, though, to our listeners is that throughout this conversation, you have shared several ways that you keep yourself spiritually grounded. You've talked about breathing. You've talked about journaling. You've talked about doing yoga. You've talked about being in solitude. You've also talked about your altar. Can you share a little bit, because I don't think I meet people your age that, I've been pretty odd my whole life too, right? So, but I hid my altar. Here you are telling, people on a blog, on a podcast, yeah, I got an altar. So can you just maybe tell us what you have on your altar, and if you do altar work, can you share a little bit of that with us?
Oh yes, okay. So I have a friend. He actually, my mother has an altar as well.
Yes,
and I've always been intrigued by that, and so I remember when I went to New York, and I was going through a situation, and I was like, wow, I feel like nothing is going in my favor. And I was like, okay, you need to breathe, and you need to find a way to connect. So I made me a mini altar, and then when I got back to Chicago, I made my own altar. So on my altar, I have the pictures of my elders. So I have my grandmother, both of my grandmothers on there. I have my grandfather. I have my uncle who passed away back before I was born. I'm his namesake because my middle name is his name.
Okay.
So I have him on my altar. I have a cousin on my altar. And then I have things that they like to do, or I have things that reminds me of them on my altar. So for my grandmother, she was a big BB King fan, and so I have two cassette tapes of BB King on there. My grandfather, he likes to play baseball, and then he lent that on to my dad, who eventually he played baseball up until I want to say when I was in 6th grade. So I have a baseball on there. And I have pictures on there that remind me of them, that have me think of them.
Mm-hmm.
I have a picture of food because when I lived with my grandmother on my mom's side, she used to always cook us hot water cornbread. So I have a picture. I have like a little piece. My dad made some cornbread, so I have a little piece of that on my altar. And then I have money on my altar. Oh, and I also have my grandmother. My grandmother had a mirror that she gave to my mother, so I had that on my altar. And even ancestors that I've never met before. I have a birth certificate for one of my great grandfathers on there. So yeah, and then I have all the elements on my altar. So I have white candles. I have incense on my altar. I have some rum on my altar. What else? I have a glass of water on my altar.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to pray to my altar. I go there for when I have questions on things that I want to do in life. Meditate at my altar. So that's a little of the things that I do on my altar.
Wow.
And I've always felt connected to something. I remember a few years ago, I've always felt connected to spirit and the universe, and I've always known that I'm not alone in what I'm going through. I always know that there are people, there are ancestors, there are spirits that are there protecting me, and it confirmed this for me when I went to my grandmother's funeral. And before that, one of my mentors, he was a pastor at the church I used to attend, and he had passed away about, I want to say, in December, and my grandmother passed away in June. And I remember it was a sign to me because the reverend that was doing the funeral, he had the exact same name as the guy that had passed away.
Oh, wow.
And it was just like, and for that moment, I'm like, okay, I know I'm protected. I know that I'm not alone. I know that there are people guiding me on my journey, helping me to reach the goals that I want to achieve. So yeah.
Man, listen, if young people, you're grounded also in your ancestors. That work that you do at the altar is so spiritually grounding on its own.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. We'll talk about it at some other point, because I think that it'd be very important for us to really support young people in understanding and understanding what altar work is. Because it's so magical. You pointed to it a little bit, but it's huge.
Yeah, it is, and it's so powerful. And I also use my altar as a manifestation tool, because I know that whatever I want to do or put in the universe, praying about it, praying on it at my altar. I'm knowledgeable about it, and I'm learning more into it.
Yeah.
But I know for me, I use it as like my second manifestation tool in what I want to create. If I want to create something, cultivate something, go about doing certain things, making certain decisions, it's a great tool for that as well. And really connected to my ancestors, because I feel like your ancestors are always, we may not feel that they're there, but you just have a second knowing that they are there, guiding you, helping you to get to wherever you want to get to.
Yes, that is so powerful. So I can keep talking to you, but I want to make sure, I want you to tell people how they can connect with you, anything that you have coming up that they might be able to participate with you. And how can people find you?
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so if you really want to, so I just created a Facebook, Instagram page. It's called the Frencha Full Circle.
Ooh.
And I wanted to do like a play on my last name, because I just love my last name.
I love your last name too.
And that's what from an early age on, everyone, if they don't know my first name, they know my last name. That's what I've always been called. So it's a Frencha Full Circle, and there, on that page, we'll be breathing. We'll be doing yoga. We'll be transferring recipes on certain things. I want to bring someone on, another young person on that I know who does altar work, divination, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And really help people to heal the things that they are afraid to delve into. And so, yeah, it will just be like a mentorship connection for us to come together, be as one, know that you're not alone, that there are people here to help support you in what you want to do. So it's a Frencha Full Circle, FRENCHA Full Circle. And then I am directly available at my Facebook page, Marshawn Frencha, MARSHAWN, last name Frencha, FRENCHA. And then I am also available at my Instagram, which is Shawn J Frencha. So it's SHAWNJFRENCHA.
Wow. I love Frencha Full Circle. Anytime you want me to contribute something or anything that I have that you want to share, feel free. I love that.
And then once quarantine is over, because I'm still a part of this organization as well, but there is a male mentorship that I've been a part of since I was in 6th grade called Barbershop Rap.
Mm-hmm.
And we meet every Saturday at New Presbyterian Church. It's right off of 35th and Cottage Grove. But we meet there, the young men, they get haircuts. Before we went on quarantine, I was looking into taking young people on trips to museums such as the MCA, the Museum of Contemporary Art, National Museum of Mexican Art, and also museums. Really expose them to culture, get people to come speak to them.
Yes.
And really help, because I want to change the narrative of at risk youth.
Yes.
And change it to at promise.
At promise?
Yeah, at promise.
Yes.
Yeah, so we once this is all over, if people want to reach out to me and bring their sons or their daughters to come and be a part of the mentorship, we will meet there. In about 2 weeks on Frencha Full Circle, we will be doing a breathing, and we'll be doing a 30-minute yoga session on the Instagram Live. And we're going to try to do it for Facebook as well. So, yeah.
Well, make sure that as you're creating that you send me your promos so I can put them on the Patiently Waiting podcast page.
Okay,
and
perfect.
People can find
you.
And then I'll connect your link to there. And oh my God, I am so grateful for you. I'm
grateful for you.
This has just been wonderful. And you just put so much light into the world in this hour conversation that we've had. You know, that's beautiful. Thank you for being who you are.
Oh, thank you for having me. I was truly excited to come on and talk about have this conversation. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have your mother on further down the line because we
you have to have Miss Dina on.
Yes. I'm gonna have her. Yeah, we'll actually, this podcast goes all the way through. This particular topic goes all the way through September. So,
wonderful.
Yeah, so we have each week we have a different coach. So she's on the list.
Gotcha. Yeah,
so that's great. And so, any last words before we close out? This has really been wonderful, Marshawn.
I would just want people to keep their peace while we're at home. Really, really connect with them, stay grounded, drink a lot of water, eat a lot of spinach or kale. Because in actuality, those vegetables help with sadness, depression, stuff like that. And yeah, just, continue to keep peace at home. Really connect with your family, because I feel like a lot of people are like itching to like get back outside and not really, really sit and connect with your family, play a board game, do an activity with your family, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great. That's really great. Thank you so much. And I just want everyone, we have a Facebook page called Patiently Waiting for Nothing. And we post every week. So we will post this replay for anyone who missed it. So if you came in late, we do have the replay. We'll post it in that area. And I'll also post it to your page, Marshawn.
Thank you. Yeah. I would love that.
And then hopefully you guys will join us next week, where we will continue this conversation inside of the isms. We will be talking about prejudice with the Dr. Marlene Fame. And so we've delved in racism this week, discrimination, next week, prejudice. So we're really having us to pull forward in our love, because that is what keeps us connected. So until next week, everyone, peace.
Of the universe guides my life and all my finances. All is well, all is well. The divine source